Howdy, folks. It's good to be back. My name is Woody, and I'll be the star of this video. Well, co-star at least. Greetings! Whoa, wait. Stop the show. Is he in this too? Now, excuse me, pull-string boy. What would the Toy Story movie ranking be without Buzz Lightyear? A good video. Whatever. Let's begin. Hey, what's up guys? This is Mike the Great here. Welcome back to the channel. So of course, a couple of weeks ago I got out of the theater seeing the movie Lightyear, and then I did a couple of Toy Story stop motion videos on that, and then I even did a review on the movie. So I figured it would be the best time to rank all 5 of the Toy Story movies, including Lightyear, especially considering that I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and this franchise has been a huge part of my childhood and my life growing up. Before I start with the video, I just want to say all of these movies are great. So all of them are top tier movies, of course, and they're all like very beloved by Rotten Tomatoes and a lot of critics. So all these I actually have a pretty fun time with. Even the one in last place, because I know a lot of you love these movies, even the one in last place is still pretty good. So if there's a movie that you love that is in last place, then it's still a great movie. That does not mean it's bad. Whatever it is, I mean, you might get frustrated at me for the comics for not putting it up higher, but I still think it's good. Like, all these movies are good, so don't bother me too much about what movie ends up in last place. That gets started. Buzz, Woody, and I are gonna start out the video. Alright, so coming in last place at number 5 will be Toy Story 4. So this movie I saw 3 years ago in the theater, 3 summers ago, and it was just a nice return to the Toy Story franchise, just because I had been waiting so long to see it after all those years, and it was just hilarious. Just a nice experience at the movies. It was a nice way to close out Woody's story, I guess I would say, and it was just great. Just seeing Bo Peep again. There's a lot going on with Woody's relationship with Bo Peep, and this is the movie where we got to see most of that. A couple of days ago, I was actually hanging out with my friends, and they we're talking about Toy Story 4. It was like, why is Bo Peep a total rebel now? Now she's a badass, with the cane and all that stuff. Now, I actually kind of dig all that stuff about Bo Peep. It was nice seeing that new side of her. It was also nice getting these new additions to the franchise. We get guys like Forky and Duke-a-Boom, even Gabby, the main villain. They're all very nice and funny characters to see. Forky is pretty hilarious, and the stuffed animals, just a lot of funny moments there with Forky and all those characters. Why is it in last place? It's not a bad movie. I wouldn't say that. It doesn't have as many things. It's not in last place just because it's the worst of the Toy Story movies. All these movies are great, no doubt about that. But it's only in last because I have the most criticisms about it. Mostly because I feel like it came out a little too late. I think it should have come out a whole lot sooner. A couple years, at least 3 or 4 years earlier. Its purpose to exist is only to close out Woody's story. Most of the other characters that we know from the rest of the franchise, they're not really in it as much. All the toys that we love from the first 3 movies, Jussie and Rex and Ham and all those guys, we just spend them. They're just all hanging out on the moving van, on the van, while Woody is out on this adventure with Bo Peep. Buzz is kind of on the adventure, but he's only he gets around less than 15 minutes of screen time. We only usually see shots of him talking to his inner voice and just making a bunch of these funny lines there, but just not a lot of as much Buzz Lightyear as I wanted. I also really didn't like Bonnie's treatment for Woody. I think it kind of undermined the end of Toy Story 3, where Woody's now with his own kid. It doesn't really care about him all that much. So I don't know, just the way it continued that path from Toy Story 3, I feel like it undermined it. So even while it's in last place, I still really loved it. So coming in at number 4, I decided to go with Toy Story 2. Now this movie, along with the first one, I actually watched over 1,000 times growing up. And it's just a very good sequel. Like, just the way it continues the journeys for Buzz and Woody. We get to see Woody in this Roundup gang, whereas he was a nobody in the first movie. We get to see him just how much more popular of a toy he is. It also does a nice job continuing Buzz's story. We get to see him in a video game, and we see this new utility belt, Buzz Lightyear. Just the way it continues the stories for these two characters is just nice. Not only that, it brings us some nice new additions to the franchise, and that's what great sequels are supposed to do. We get introduced to Jessie, and like just the new cowgirl, and just nice addition. We're also introduced to Woody's noble steed, Bullseye. It's also the movie that introduced us to Zurg, and we get to see Buzz's main villain inside of this movie, and which ends up being his villain in Lightyear. That's Jesse's backstory, which just fits in perfectly with all the rest of the franchise. It almost sets up the main plot line in Toy Story 3, just about Andy's growing up. This movie kind of had a sneak peek with that, with Jesse's backstory. And, so it's not as high on the list, obviously, mostly because it's not as memorable as the rest of the movies. This one feels like the least memorable out of all the Toy Story movies, which is funny because I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I also feel like this movie has one too many Star Wars references. I mean, it literally takes that line from Empire Strikes Back, "Oh no, I am your father." I mean, I saw this movie before I watched the Star Wars movie, so this is the first time I heard that line, but it's just like a little too many Star Wars references added in this movie, which could also be a good thing, but it's a little too obvious and like undermines the movie's usual reputation. So this movie was great. It was nice in my childhood, so I enjoyed it still, even though while it's at number 4. Coming in at number 3, bringing us into the top 3, is gonna be Lightyear, the movie that I just saw in the theater. So this movie has actually been in my mind for a pretty long time, even before the first movies. I always had that picture in my head of what if Buzz was an actual space ranger, and what would that look like if it was turned into a movie. And so I always had dreams about this movie's existence, and here I finally got to see it. Finally got to see Buzz, the Space Ranger, in action. I really like how this movie gives Buzz some responsibilities as an actual Space Ranger, and not just as a toy. And then he's brought into this group of Space Rangers and a couple of these rookies that he now has to look after and now has to train, and they don't have as much experience, and here he's the mentor. And I really liked all that stuff because that's what we saw a glimpse of this version of Buzz in the first movie, and here we're seeing that real guy. So just the concept of the movie is nice as a continuation of the Toy Story franchise. I also really love Chris Evans in the role. I think he was perfect because he's played characters, Captain America specifically, that show truth and justice. The cat Socks was also a nice addition. He made me laugh a lot of certain times. This entire movie itself made me laugh. So it was just a hilarious time at the movies. I had a few issues about what they did with Zurg. I don't think it serves the Toy Story franchise any credit. I think there was something they could have done different with that. But still, it was a nice movie. I don't know why the internet has been trashing this movie so much. Maybe it's just because I'm a Toy Story fan and I've always had the idea of this movie in my head. But I enjoyed it a lot more than most people did. So it doesn't bother me as much. You should go see this movie. So coming in second place, the runner-up here is Toy Story 3. Now, if you saw my Lightyear review, then you know that Toy Story 3 was another huge part of my childhood, and I was just the perfect age to see this movie in theaters. It came out when I was in elementary school, and a lot of my friends there were talking about it, and I even had the Toy Story 3 PS3 video game. So this movie, I was the perfect age, the exact target audience to see this movie in the theater, and I was very young. And not even that, I think this movie came out around the perfect timeline. Whereas with Toy Story 4, I feel like it came out a little too late than when it was supposed to. This movie came out when it was supposed to. It does what the franchise does so well, which is connecting to the audience in ways, because Andy is now all grown up and he's letting go of all the toys that he enjoyed playing with from his childhood. And I'm in Andy's shoes, so, and I'm still holding on to these guys. So it's just perfect knowing how much that movie connects to us, like as people. And it's doing that also, again, showing it from the toys' perspectives, and just how the toys feel about that child growing up, and it's learning how to move on. And that's what this movie was all about, was just moving on. So now we get to see the toys at daycare, and just the children interacting with them, playing with them, and how they're trashing them out. We get to see Barbie and Ken. Those last 10 minutes of the movie are where you think the toys are about to be burned to life, or even up until then where Andy's giving them away and Bonnie and him are playing with them. It's just like so much fun, like just so loving just to see those kinds of things in the franchise. Just a nice way to close out this journey for the toys. This movie was just perfect when I first saw it, and it's perfect up until now, so it's definitely number 2 on this list. But coming in first place, I'm gonna go with the original Toy Story. This movie was a huge part of my childhood growing up. In fact, it almost was my childhood. I had all the toys. Of course, I still have these guys. I had some of the play sets, and I would watch this movie on repeat 1,000 times on DVD. And not just that, it just has a great movie concept about the kids leaving the room. What happens when the toys are left alone in the room? What if the toys came to life? What if these toys were alive? Just a great idea for a movie. And it does something interesting with that, seeing everything from the toys' perspective. We've all had that one toy that we've known for a couple of years that we enjoy playing with pretty often, but then let's say we get a new toy for Christmas or for a birthday that's even cooler. It's just, all that is just like very human, very interesting to see. And like, because that's how it works. Sometimes we get that new toy that we really enjoy, and that old toy that we don't love as much anymore. And even while it has that next door neighbor that loves to destroy toys, that's also what happens sometimes. There's some toys that there's some kids that love to destroy toys just for fun. That's human. It also just brings in this fantastic adventure for these two characters, whether they're going to places like Pizza Planet or just trying to get to the moving van. And it has some fantastic characters in this movie. Buzz and Woody, for me, are just cinematic legends, and even played by some talented voice actors. So this movie was perfect for my childhood. It's one of my favorite animated movies of all time. So easily, it comes in at number 1. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I enjoy this franchise so much, and just all these movies are really great. And just let me know down in the comments, like, what movies are your favorite, if you agree with my ranking. And just remember to like and subscribe if you want some more of these videos. And I will see you in infinity and beyond.